Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. The bells on bobtail ring, they make our spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle
Welcome along to
bells,
the
jingle
latest
all
Instant
the
Reaction
way.
podcast, as you may well see in the background there. It's now the 1st of December here in the UK. It's still the 30th of November, where you may well be watching and listening in Seattle. But, you know, I've gone really festive. And also the tree is now in the place where I would usually sit. So you've got a lovely festive background tonight as the Seahawks prevail against the Eagles. And they have a good record against the Eagles over the last few years, and they've extended that again tonight. With a victory that, got a little closer than it maybe needed to at the end there, but ultimately the Seahawks get the win. And that's the important thing, Robbie, over these, with these 4 games. We talked about it. It doesn't really matter how they win. They've just got to make sure that they're 4-0 from these 4 games. If they lose any of these games, it's going to be hard to take them seriously as a postseason threat. They've just got to get the job done and get to the NFC West doubleheader at the end of the season. And it's 1 game down, 3 to go.
Yeah, I mean, that game was absolutely one of the most unthrilling games I've seen in a long time. I don't think I even got very excited, maybe more than once on the big DK bomb. Other than that, the game was kind of just mundane at best. And yeah, we just got to keep plugging away. I really don't care how we do it. As long as we get the win, I'm happy with it. But they're going to need to play a lot better than they played tonight, especially on offense, going, against Washington and New York. They're going to need to play a lot better against those 2 defenses.
I mean, I watched a lot of the Giants game. I kind of focused on, I watched Red Zone of the weekend, and I kind of watched 2 games more than any other. And that was the Giants and the Bengals, because obviously the Giants are next, and then obviously the Niners and the Rams game, which was always going to be an important one for Seahawks fans to watch. And I have to say, I thought the Giants, even with Daniel Jones in, were unimpressive. As much as as good as they've looked in recent weeks, didn't look good in this one. And Colt McCoy looked terrible when he came in. I mean, he may well make Carson Wentz look good after the game tonight. I mean, let's do positives and negatives, Robbie. I think the positives are pretty clear. One of them is DK Metcalf. Yes, he had that really bad drop in the end zone, which kind of blotted his copybook. But 177 yards against a really, I think it was something like 140 odd of those came against a really good cornerback in Darius Slay, who has played well this year. I think he was one of the highest graded cornerbacks via PFF. And as DK has had some quiet nights against good cornerbacks here, a really top draw display. And, I don't think the Seahawks would have won this game without DK Metcalf tonight, because the rest of the offense looked predictable and ordinary. It was really DK who lifted them up, got them the yards, got them the points, and he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, DK is the big winner for the night. I mean, the biggest positive on the whole team. I mean, he was lights out the whole time, 10 catches for 177. I mean, yeah, he played a heck of a game, and that one drop was unfortunate because, I mean, that would have been, over 200 yards receiving for him and added a touchdown to the mix. So, yeah, he played a fantastic game, and he's hands down the biggest positive of the game.
The positive, I suppose, is the sacks. Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about the pass rush, and, I would mention to you off air that I'm already getting tweets from people because this is it now. All of the criticisms in the off-season have, none of them are valid now because 11 games into the season, the Seahawks have got a pass rush now. I mean, imagine having this from the start of the season. It really has improved, though. You can see the great thing is that Carlos Dunlap has come in, and it's not just him. It's not like they've suddenly brought in Myles Garrett or somebody. Carlos Dunlap's playing well. He's playing his part. But just having somebody who can legitimately win 1v1 and having that rush off the edge is elevating everybody else's performance. Poona Ford has had a great season and, has really come to the fore, even without Carlos Dunlap having a great season. But he's looking good in the pass rush. He's looking good versus the run. Jaron Reed looks like he's got a new lease of life. He's playing a bit like he did when Frank Clark was here now. You see him, Rasheem Green chipping in and LJ Collier's chipping in. The whole line looks so much better. Benson Mayowa got a sack tonight. Everybody looks better for the fact that Carlos Dunlap is there. And the big thing for me, Robbie, is that now the blitz, it's no longer the thing you have to rely on as the only source of pressure or sacks. It's now a complement. And that's what a blitz should be. Unless you are Greg Williams or Todd Bowles, a blitz should be a complement, not the thing you rely on. And that's what it is now for the Seahawks. The defense looks better as a consequence. And one other quick final point, KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner are benefiting from this as well. They're being allowed to make plays. They're being given that sort of freedom to roam and read and react and do what they do best. And they're looking a lot better again because the D-line looks better.
Yeah, I mean, they look a lot better, as they should, though. They were playing against Philadelphia's Eagles team that had one starter, and, 4 of their starting line were third stringers or second stringers. So, I mean, it's not like we were playing like an all-world, offensive line. So all things considered, though, I mean, I'm happy we got after it. If we wouldn't have gotten any sacks today, this is one of those games, like, you got to be kidding me. We're not playing against an actual NFL team right now. It didn't feel like, on the offensive line. And, it was really nice, though, a positive for me was seeing that Rasheem Green sack, because he broke off 2 guys. They were double teaming him, and he got through both those and was able to get that sack. So that was a real big positive for me, liking to see that, just the bull-nose rush and just getting right after it and getting right in the middle of it and getting that sack. So it was really good. And I know as much hate as Jamal Adams gets and how embarrassing that was, that he was talking about how good he was actually in coverage and then he gets burnt. I think he was a disruptor. He felt like he was in almost every play. And it's hard not to see the negatives when they're so obliviously obvious right there. Like, I mean, that didn't make any sense, but it's really obvious that they're right there and have that missed tackle and all those things, and just playing, way too far off Dallas Goddard or whatever his name is. And so, yeah, I mean, other than that, I felt like he was a disruptor. I felt like he was in a lot of plays. So, yeah, for me, I feel like he was a positive for the most part, other than literally when they're talking about how he was good in coverage and then he got burnt like literally the next play. It was super embarrassing. But yeah, I feel all around the defense is starting to build a little momentum, and I think that's the positive for me. I really want to see them build off this, continue to attack the offense in a way that we don't have to just bring the house to get home to the quarterback, and maybe we can rush 4 or sometimes 3 just to see what happens and drop more in coverage.
I thought tonight was the sort of a quintessential Jamal Adams game, really, in that he kind of showed all of the positives of his play and all of his weaknesses as well. So, I mean, you mentioned it there. There was the one blitz, and I didn't enjoy the Monday Night Football broadcast. I kind of crave the Mike Tirico, John Gruden days when it felt like a professional broadcast. They never stopped talking, the 3 of them, and sometimes. But the one thing they did very well was they actually broke down a couple of plays and explained it. And one of them was the David Moore. I don't know how you describe it. I kind of came across the formation on 4th down, and they showed that, well, DK Metcalf's going to block his guy there, and if he does it, then it may be a touchdown. It helps you sort of understand those things, and that's not the kind of thing that to the untrained eye you would notice. And then the other thing was on the Jamal Adams sack was that clearly everybody ran out on a screen, all the offensive linemen, and the running backs kind of stood in the middle of everything, just trying to find someone to block. So it was obviously a miscommunication there, and that obviously helped Jamal get the sack. But then, it was a nicely disguised blitz, I suppose you could say. I mean, they made the point that if he actually throws the screen pass, it may well be a touchdown. They kept it wide open there because Adams kind of comes off that side. But he attacked the line of scrimmage. He played very well, very active, seemed to be around the ball a lot. But, the 2 things that stand out as well is that, I said, the Goddard blown coverage and a bit of a missed tackle there as well, which he's prone to do. And it's this constant, I can live without the constant chatting and chuntering and talking to opponents after they've made a good play. It's like, it's always when Jamal Adams makes a good play, he kind of just walks back to his position and gets on with the next snap. When he gives up a play, he's like talking away and chatting away and congratulating the opponent sarcastically. And you're doing it the other way around, mate. It's supposed to celebrate when you do well and not say anything when you've given up a play. But the question with Adams is going to be whether or not can you live with this kind of boom bust type nature of everything, which comes with an aggressive safety, I guess. And then I'm going to bring it up. Everyone's going to bring up the price tag again. Is it really worth it? I was kind of watching this game, Robbie, thinking if they'd have just given up 1 first and an extra pick for him, I'd be well on board with living with the mistakes and loving the positivity. It's that bloody second first rounder which kind of just spoils everything. In terms of some of the negatives, I'm not sure what the hell they were doing on those 2 4th downs early in the first quarter there, Robbie. You know, the first play call is just far too tricky. I mean, you've got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, you know, you've got Hollister and Disley, and then Mike Garofalo was saying before the game that the Seahawks love Colby Parkinson. I mean, did you do anything tonight? I mean, find a way to get him involved. So you've got all these weapons. You think, I know what the best thing to do is have David Moore try and sprint to the outside when he's clearly not 100% healthy, look tentative all night, and try and score on that play. It just seemed like a really strange call. And on the other 4th down, it was a one target play design. It was basically, this is going to Tyler Lockett or it doesn't work. And it relied solely on a pick play with DK Metcalf. And if the defender just avoids DK Metcalf there, the play's over. It's like, have we not got anything better than that? Is there not a route we can have or a play that we can have which maybe has 3 progressions for Russell Wilson? Is he, you know, is that too much to ask? Or that you just have DK Metcalf run a slant or something? You know, just to give him an easy throw. We kind of went back to the whole, why does everything have to be so hard again tonight? When short of just a deep ball to DK Metcalf, which in fairness looked pretty easy at times because it's DK Metcalf, why does everything have to be so designed so tough for Russell? When you see so many other teams, Robbie, just find easy ways to get 4 yards if they need 4 yards. With the Seahawks, it's every play seems like an absolute titanic battle.
Yeah, I mean, my big negative tonight is Schottenheimer. I even not just the 4th downs, but all about that 4th down on the to David Moore was. It's one of those plays that I've said in the past that he just gets too cute sometimes and tries to overthink something and thinks he's got this brilliant play plan and that's going to work. And it just backfires on him. And it just pisses me off because it could be so much simpler and he could make things so much better and limiting that. I mean, if you're going to run Carson up the gut. I mean, there's something like, don't try to get cute. It doesn't always work. And it seems like 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. And yeah, we might've been saying, oh, that was awesome that David Moore scored if it would have worked. But at the same time, I don't think I would have loved the play call, even if it worked, because it's like, yeah, it's not one of those plays you want to call all the time. And then for me, when we're trying to close out the game, the sweeps to the right, the sweeps to the left, these long, drawn out handoffs to the running back to get him. I feel bad for Carlos Hyde, who seemed to be having a pretty decent game. All of a sudden, he's losing 3-4 yards every carry because we're doing these sweeps outside and they know it's coming, so they're attacking him and they're tackling him behind the ball or behind the line of scrimmage. He's losing yards. Next thing you know, like, instead of gaining yards and killing the clock, we're 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 17. And like, how do we lose 7 yards in 3 plays? It's ridiculous. You get the ball, go up the gut. If you're just trying to kill the clock and run up the gut, and then take your time, you know, in the huddle. I mean, we seem to do that all the time anyways, but take your time in the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, snap it with 2-3 seconds left. I mean, don't do these. You're not getting that much time off. So to kill the game, I feel like we just, again, try these ridiculous plays that don't work for me. So Brian Schottenheimer tonight was just, sometimes he calls really great, brilliant games, and then other times he just baffles my mind with what he's thinking. And I don't know if it's coming from Pete or what, but like, they just need to figure something else out and stop getting so cute. That's my big disappointment for tonight.
Yeah, I think some fair points there, Robbie. And you know, when you get into that sort of situation at the end of the game, you've really, if you are going to run the ball, you've kind of just got to, you know, accept that the opponent knows you're going to run in that situation. You know, get everybody lined up and just run it up the middle and try and get 3 yards on 1st down, 3-4 yards on 2nd down. Get yourself into a manageable 3rd down when maybe to play action or something. You know, I don't know, but give yourself a chance. I mean, like when you're running outside like that, and look, teams are going to know, you know, this is either going to be an inside run or they're going to get outside. But either way, it's a run. So as soon as you sort of see Carlos Hyde out, all the linebackers can just sprint out to that area. The cornerbacks can attack it downfield. It's not creative to try and get it outside and think, well, get away from the crowd of bodies in the middle and scoot it out there, because you just suddenly put yourself in an area where you're relying on your receivers as blockers instead of your offensive linemen. And that's not a good situation when the team can attack downfield and knows what you're going to do in that situation. It felt a little bit, it feels generally quite a little bit like the Seahawks are operating from a fairly limited playbook at the minute. Like, they've used all of the best stuff almost, and I don't know. I kind of feel like Russell Wilson can probably have a bit more on his plate. I mean, that might be. I don't know. I've not seen the Seahawks playbook. Maybe it's massive, and there was a reason for tonight. I don't know. It just feels a little bit like maybe they could put a bit more on Russell's plate and have a bit more creativity in there without having to go daft in the red zone like they did with the fourth down. Another negative, Robbie was the third down play. Again, this has been an issue, a prolonged issue this year on both sides of the ball. The Seahawks just 2 of 10 converting on third down. And, there's a few things that this could have been an absolute blowout tonight. It could have been a 40-0 blowout, really. The 2 fourth down failures, the dropped pass, the Carlos Hyde great run for a touchdown called back on a totally unnecessary hold by Cedric Abuya. I don't think it would have, if he'd just let go, it would have still been a touchdown. But the third downs, to be 2 of 10, to have drives ended because of that. Obviously, a couple of those went to fourth down and they didn't convert those either. So if you kind of add those on, you're talking about 2 of 12 on third or fourth down on the offense, which is really poor for a team with someone as good as Russell Wilson as quarterback. And then on defense, 8 of 17 on third down. And look, they kept getting off the field so many times early on. I think it was something like 3 or 4 consecutive drives for Philadelphia where they got them off the field, which kind of makes it worse from like that final drive of the first half onwards, that they gave up so many third downs. And again, this is something that when it didn't matter tonight against a 3-win team, because that's what the Eagles are. And we kind of give them more respect because they're in the thick of the NFC East. Well, yeah, but they're a 3-win team. Most of the seasons they'd be thinking about the draft right now. So, I against better teams, they're going to have to be better on third down on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's just kind of what I was saying. Like they're going to have to play a lot better against some other teams, and that you can't. It's really hard to win games if you're going 2 for 10 on third down and 0 for 2 on fourth down. And the one positive is we did stop them 3 times when they went for it on fourth down. But yeah, you just got to play a lot better than that. And it's frustrating to see, a Russell Wilson led team going 2 for 10 on third downs. I mean, this is, I think partly has to do with some of the play calling and, just Shoddy not having a good night calling the game. And I don't know if they just thought, I don't think they did, but I think they just thought this is going to be an easy win. We can go in and call it. We'll get these fourth downs and this should be a cakewalk win. And that's, I think they were trying to put scoreboard pressure on early. I think that's why you saw 2 quick fourth down go for, and see it just not work out in their favor. And to credit due, the Eagles defense came out and played really well. And man, I can tell you what, how good would Fletcher Cox look on our defensive line right now, man? He's something else, and he was kind of fun to watch and frustrating at the same time. Put a bell on that guy or something, get him out of the backfield, have him tackle everybody. So, yeah, it all around the consistency on third down is going to be key going forward. And, we're going to play teams that are much better, and you can't go 2 for 10 against the Rams or even the 49ers. Like, this is not going to be acceptable. And if we want to be serious, we need to start figuring some of these things out.
Because the Seahawks have never been a clean football team, have they, Robbie, under Pete Carroll? And even in their great seasons of 2013, 2014, they've always been a bit like this, a bit scruffy, making games unnecessarily close. Playing down to opponents is like a classic Carroll staple. It's one of the things, if you had to list 10 things of the Carroll era, the consistency with which the Seahawks play down to opponents. And, I kind of feel like tonight, what would the Chiefs have done to the Eagles? It would have been an absolute massacre. And then unfortunately, from Seattle's point of view, I sort of feel like I'm still waiting to see that performance that can really get me out my seat, Robbie, and think, right, that's it. And hopefully that will come in week 16 against the Rams. Hopefully they will absolutely tear the Rams a new one. And we'll all be sort of sat there going, that's the game. That's the game we all needed to really believe in this team. And when I think back to 2013, it was week 2 against the 49ers when they gave them an absolute arse kicking. It was that Monday night football game against New Orleans. I think New Orleans had a similar record to Seattle when they came to Seattle. It was billed as this huge contest, the 2 best teams in the NFC meeting in a Monday night football game, and the Seahawks just showed them who was boss. Sent them back to New Orleans with a tail between the legs, absolute hammering of the Saints. And when you see games like that, you think, yeah, the Seahawks are the best. And like so far this year, like there's just not been that moment. I mean, even last year they had the Niners win on the road, still seeking that really convincing, complete performance where you really start to believe in this team. And I kind of want to see that. I'm guessing it's not going to come against the Giants or the Jets in the next 2 games. In fact, I would settle for just winning those games and no injuries and take that, even if it were 3 points on both occasions, even if it means being a little bit stressed out over the next couple of weeks. I think anybody would take that because, again, it is just about winning and health at the moment. But by the time they get to those Rams and Niners games, I want to see something that makes us really believe in this team and gets us going. And it won't take much because the evidence over the weekend, Robbie, was the NFC is absolutely wide open. You never know what you're going to get from the Packers. They're great one week, they're rubbish the next. The Saints with Taysom Hill looks like a bad version of Tim Tebow. And if he has to take the Saints into the playoffs rather than Drew Brees, and who knows how healthy Drew Brees is going to be. He's got a punctured lung and about 6 broken ribs, for God's sake. You know, if Taysom Hill's leading the Saints in the playoffs, they ain't going anywhere. He's not taking them to a Super Bowl. He's rubbish. He's rubbish. And then you see the Rams having a collapse against the Niners, and Jared Goff, look, you know, has made his return, looking absolutely useless against the Niners. You know, you're kind of watching over the weekend and you're thinking, actually, the 2 best teams in the NFC might be the San Francisco 49ers and the Vikings, because it's just everything about the whole conference, Robbie, is so wide open. There is an opening there for a team with a good quarterback, an experienced head coach, a competent defense. And, you know, the defense has shown in the last 2 weeks that they're heading in the right direction. There's an opening there for a team like Seattle. But, you know, I want them to storm through that door and take it. I don't want them to politely ask if it's okay to come in. I want them to take it. You know, go and take the number 1 seed. And they've got an opportunity with this crap schedule that they've got for the rest of the season. They play the Rams in Seattle, not in LA. The Niners game is going to be in Arizona by the looks of things. So, you know, take this opportunity. Make this a season that can actually be about something now, because it's the opportunity is there. But I'm still not 100% convinced that they can actually do this, Robbie, and take that chance that is there and is glaring.
Well, like you said, just got to keep winning. And one of the things is, I mean, this weekend, honestly, it worked out almost 100% perfect for us, you know, having the Niners beat the Rams and Arizona losing. The only thing, Rob, is I cannot believe they even played the game. The Saints were basically gift wrapped a free win against the Broncos, who didn't even have a quarterback, which was ridiculous. I don't know why that game wasn't postponed. Any other game gets postponed, but the poor Broncos have to play with some dude who's started a little bit in college, and they threw the ball 9 times or something like that, and he was 1 for 9 with 3 interceptions or something crazy. Like, that was not even fair. They shouldn't even played that game. It should have been postponed. So if other than that game, everything couldn't have been better for us. I mean, having the Niners win and beat the Rams is 2 things. One, I mean, someone posted this in your blog, Rob, is that not only does it increase their draft odds, the Niners, you know, it hurts the Rams because they are no longer ahead of us in the division. So win-win there, right? We don't want the Niners picking in the top 10 again. And then you know, having Arizona stumble to the Pats just looks great all around. So, you know, again, just that Saints Broncos game kind of was frustrating, but yeah, and then getting the win tonight. We just got to stay healthy, like you said. I'm hoping Carlos Dunlap is okay. Sounds like he didn't come back in the game, so that I mean, I think that would be a huge loss. Obviously, it would be a huge loss for us. You know, hopefully it's just a stinger or something. He's okay and able to come back, and you know, just maintaining health. You know, winning these games. Trying not to get too cute. Like I would hate for us to blow a game because Schottenheimer just got too cute on offense and try to do something stupid, and instead just attack the defense's weaknesses and just get after it instead of trying to make it all cute and fancy. So yeah, and you know, let Russ make some audibles at the line, you know, throw a couple read option plays in there. I'd like to see that as well, you know, something different. You know, and I don't know why we don't run the screen pass more. Super frustrating, and we're going to need the screen pass against the Washington Redskins front 4, because those guys are scary, and they're going to get after Russ. And if they can drop 8 back and just rush forward, it's going to be a hard game for us. So our offense needs to play a lot better. But yeah, we need to stay healthy.
Apparently, it is a sprained foot for Carlos Dunlap. So that could mean anything. I mean, Chris Carson's had a very rare sprained foot. It's not often that you sprain something in your metatarsal, which I think is what he has done, which is sort of the bones in between the bones of your feet, which is a very unique injury there. Hopefully it's not a high ankle sprain or anything like that. I mean, it could be. I suppose that is just above your foot. I guess if there is one saving grace is that if he does miss some time, you're playing Colt McCoy and then the bungling Jets, who, the good thing about that Jets game, by the way, is that the Jets are still only one game ahead of the Jaguars. And I think the Jaguars' strength of schedule is weaker. So if they were to win a game, they would actually be taking themselves out of contention for Trevor Lawrence. So they need to keep losing. That is why Adam Gase is still there. I keep seeing the media going, what does Adam Gase have to do to get fired? We've got to get rid of Adam Gase. Get rid of Adam Gase. It's like, no, the reason Adam Gase is there is to secure Trevor Lawrence. There's only one reason why they haven't made a change. That's it. So, the Jets might as well just forfeit that game right now and avoid any further injuries. But that is something, if they miss him for any period of time there, Robbie, that is going to be an absolute body blow, especially because they didn't get that other pass rusher before the trade deadline that they were hoping for. And what Vic Beasley and Tack McKinley ended up in Las Vegas in the end. So I didn't get either of those two either. So, something to monitor there. There's a few other things, like DK Metcalf seemed to come up hurt at one point, but then he made a huge big catch to make up for it. Dwayne Brown fell over and looked in a non-contact injury, and I was terrified of that. I was really scared by that, but then he came back in for the next drive. There was somebody else who got a little bit banged up as well. Chris Carson was like in and out of the game, and if he's really healthy, they use him more than they did tonight. I was a little bit concerning. He can't just be sort of like a designated runner, pops in every now and again on a goal line. They need Big Chris at full capacity. So anyway, hopefully none of these injuries are too serious and they need to stay healthy. That often is the determining factor at the end of a season, isn't it? Is how healthy you are. So the Seahawks win. Prediction-wise, we both went for a win, didn't we, Robbie? At one point, the score was 14-9, which was my exact prediction. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, it's going to come off. It's going to happen, but it didn't. And they got a few more points. Would have preferred a bit of an easier night. But I suppose when you think about it, Rob, it's about as easy as it gets for the Seahawks, isn't it? This is about as comfortable as you're ever allowed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I was never super concerned, especially with the way Wentz was playing. He just was awful all night. I mean, I was actually more concerned if they would have put in Jalen Hurts just to see if he would have given them a spark. And then I think that would have made me a little nervous if they would have started playing, a little more fired up. So, but yeah, for the most part, fairly comfortable win, and Rob, your Christmas tree is going to give me a stroke or something, or a t-shirt.
Well, that was not the intention. I was trying to provide a bit of festive spirit. I hope not be seriously ill instead. But
no, but yeah, it overall, I mean, honestly, just pretty comfortable win for tonight. And I never felt really worried about it. I mean, they got a lucky Hail Mary touchdown pass there at the end, and just kind of the way
that cost me a fantasy game. That, by the way.
Well, there you go.
A big thanks for nothing there, defense.
Just overall, just pretty easy, and hopefully going forward, against the Jets, that should also be fairly comfortable for us. So,
well, there are no gifts under the tree yet, Robbie, because as I say, it is only the 1st of December here. It is not. It's not that close to Christmas. However, that was a wonderful gift that Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson provided at the end of that game with that 4th down interception. It was as if he deliberately threw it to Quandre Diggs in the end zone. He was so wide open. He just thought, I'm going to throw it to him. And what a decision that was as well. And, all this analytic stuff, like somebody tweeted afterwards, like, yeah, no, it was the right call to make. It gave them a 2.3% better chance of winning the game if they go for it on 4th down. It's like, oh, piss off. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous now. I don't care whether you have a 2.3% better chance of winning on stuff like that. You bring the game down to one play. It's 1 4th down play. If you kick the field goal there and then you kicked the Seahawks deep in their own field, this is a Seahawks offense that had hardly played very well all game. All of a sudden, they're under this pressure of, oh, we've got to move the ball or we've got to try and score, because if not, we're going to give the ball back to them and it's a 1-score game. There's a human element to that which just never gets considered. That if the difference between the Seahawks trotting out there after a 4th down stop thinking, oh, great stuff, we now can drive this with the confidence of knowing we've got a 2-score advantage, and they did. And I don't think they scored again, did they? Or did they get a field goal? I'm not sure. Can't remember. Either way, took the pressure off the Seahawks. And there's too much of this, Robbie. You know, look, analytics has a place in the NFL, but as we've seen with the Cowboys at times this year, and now with the Eagles, you know, it's also okay just to do what the conventional wisdom says sometimes as well. And, you know, thank goodness that they didn't there. Quandre Diggs got that interception, and then they needed turnover as well. I think that was only the second in the last 4 games. So the Seahawks needed to add that to the list. Right, a win's a win. The Seahawks move on at 8-3. Giants up next. We'll talk about that in the week. Enjoy the rest of, I was going to say weekend. It is Monday night. You lose track of time when it's 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll see you soon. Talk out of the Giants.